Welcome to Open for Business. Mapapanood nyo rin ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Samahan ninyo kaming tuklasin ang iba't ibang pamamaraan kung paano mapaunlad ang inyong negosyo. Aalamin din natin mula sa mga eksperto ang mga pangunahing trends at mga strategiya kung paano natin mapapanatiling ang negosyo, maliit man o malaki, ay maging laging open for business. To aspiring fashion designers, starting a clothing brand is a dream come true. They have the ideas, the talent, and most importantly, the passion for fashion. But what does it really take to start a fashion brand? Anong kailangan nating gawin, lalo na ngayon at bumabangon pa lamang ang fashion retail industry sa gitna ng pandemya? We will tackle these questions with one of the world-class and homegrown women's fashion brands in the Philippines. Join us as the President and CEO of Kamiseta Group of Companies, Ms. Cris Roque, discusses how to start a fashion brand in this episode of Open for Business.
Welcome to Mobile Legends!
Welcome back to Open for Business. Today we have the President and CEO of Kamiseta Group of Companies, Ms. Cris Roque. How are you, Ms. Cris?
Hi, Cesar. Thank you for having me in your show, and thank you for the introduction. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Off cam, we were talking a lot already about fashion, about looking great, specifically with women, di ba? Parang sabi nila, every woman aspires to be vibrant, to be captivating. Pero the standards are shifting as we speak, di ba? So, what was thought beautiful then and flawless years ago is no longer the case. So, every year there's a new trend. So, what are your thoughts on the latest trends now in fashion and what do women want?
Okay, for me, fashion is always changing. Actually, now, what's uso or what's updated now is what they call fast fashion. So, because of the internet, because of the social media, we are now open to see the fashion all over the world now. So Korean fashion, US fashion, Europe fashion, Japanese fashion is now being given to us or to everybody. So now we can really choose what fashion we want to follow. But Filipinos, per se, I feel, is really a very classic and classy people in general. So they like things that are not too vulgar, that are not too out there. They just still want to look conservative, they still want to look classy, and they still want to look classic. So they want to have those pieces where, you know, they can use for a long time. That's where we really concentrate on the classic, classy, and timeless pieces.
Miss Cris, you mentioned this phrase, fast fashion. Fast fashion, mabilis.
Yes.
So why fast? Is it because, we're everybody on the move, or everybody wants to, it's like when you're on social media, you just swipe left and right. Is that about it?
Yeah, because of social media, parang everyone wants a change of look. Every day, ibang outfit. Every day, they cannot wear the same clothes every day. So they try to look for the fashion trends that they want to follow, they want to copy, or they want to emulate. So thus the term for fast fashion. And because of this social media also, the world presents different styles. So the Korean fashion is now easily accessible. The Japanese fashion is also accessible. The US fashion is also accessible. And so is the European fashion. So now the Filipinos, as well as the world, they can really choose anong fashion ang type nila.
We know for a fact that Filipinos also would like to really buy brands or anything that is coming from the different parts of the world, imported brands. But what makes a Filipino brand like yours stand out?
Okay, for our brand, and just like other local brands, some of our competitors, we are very in tune with the trends all over the world. So some of the prices of the imported brands are also pricey. So for us, what we do is we keep the prices reasonable, and then we also get trends from all over, and then we adapt it to the Filipino style, because the Filipinos, they have certain colors, they have certain styles that they specifically want to wear. Let's say like nag-uso now, like they show the stomach. Not maybe 20% will wear something like that, but 80% will still wear something very classic.
Halimbawa, sa kulay at saka style, ano ang gusto ng Pilipino ngayon, ng Pilipina?
Filipinos, to be honest, Filipinos have their own fashion talaga. Just like the Thais. If you go to Thailand, the imported brands are there, but they still prefer the Thai brand. So the Filipinos are also that. Majority are that way.
What about color? Is there a preference for color?
Yeah, the
for
Filipinos, they don't like colors na the favorite line is nakakaitim. They don't like those kinds of colors, and they're not very experimental when it comes to colors.
Okay. Now, of course, you get a lot of inspiration, di ba? Inspiration coming from, I'm sure, your travels around the world, and also your exposure from the value chain, di ba? From the makers to the, the fabric itself. So, where do you get all this inspiration po?
Inspiration is all over. It's the social media now presents all possible inspiration. So what we do is we just find and we just put together what we feel will be, what the Filipinos will like based on the trends that are available all over.
Miss Cris, during the pandemic, siyempre ang pinakamalaking naapektuhan talagang yung local fashion industry at saka retail industry. A lot of the malls closed, di ba? What was running in your mind during that time, and what were your challenges? Because I'm sure with your industry, there's a lot of people in your value chain that are dependent on your business. What was running on your mind during that time?
Okay, during the pandemic, of course, all the malls were closed. So basically, almost all the retail industry was affected. But that made us strengthen our online business. So people still, even if they stayed at home, they still wanted to look good because social media still didn't stop. So it
Mas na-hook
wasn't,
nga sila
yeah,
doon.
yeah. So when they took pictures of themselves, hindi naman pwedeng they were wearing, they also wanted to look good even if they were, at home lang or they were work at home. So fashion was still dynamic even if they were at home. So the fashion changed a bit. Like there was mga loungewear, there was more of a lot of dresses, a lot of, things that were more down to earth in terms of clothing. So for us, we didn't really change our styling. We just actually strengthened our online platform.
Parang you said you quickly adapted. What's that adaptation? Were you ready for digitalization? You even before the COVID-19 crisis, you had your online platform
Yes,
already?
we really had our online platform already, but the thing was it wasn't strong. Meaning the people, the Filipinos still preferred to go to the mall and I think it's part of the stress buster, retail therapy, also parang something to do. So on weekends or on weekdays after work, before going home, because it was so traffic, they would go to the mall. So now, instead of going to the mall, it was now through the online. So we became more dynamic, we became more exciting, we started to, boost. Parang we opened another avenue, which was through the online. And then a lot of our stores are also province-based. So Metro Manila was really hit by the pandemic, but the provinces, they opened so much faster than us. So, okay lang. And then, ang maganda din, the malls, they were very supportive with us also. So, it was a win-win actually for everyone.
When you say supportive of you, were there specific arrangements on reducing the rent or giving you specific leeway in terms of payments?
Yeah, actually, they didn't charge us any rent. They just charged the very minimal. So, parang okay then. I mean, of course, it's a challenge. Everybody faced the challenge. So for us, we didn't really look at it as like a stumbling block or something that would cripple our business. We were thinking that we just had to adapt to the situation. Just like any other situation, we just have to adapt. Let's say if it's boom, of course we adapt to the boom. If it's slow, we adapt to the slow. And we have to maneuver based on the situation that's given to us.
Pero maganda, ma'am, yung sinabi niyo na you didn't change your style, but you were just ready, strengthened your online presence. But during the pandemic, have you noticed any specific changes in terms of consumer behavior? Like, say, is there any specific style that or technique that you somehow changed in your process? That made them go to your website and order?
During the pandemic, what we added to our roster of styles was the PPE, which we never,
okay.
The fashion PPE. Actually, we started that. We made it more trendy, we made it more exciting. So we sold a lot of PPEs during the pandemic kasi they used that when they did their errands, they used that when they went to the grocery, some took some flights. That was what we added through our roster of styles. But if you're in fashion, you need to adapt to the trend. You need to adapt to changes in fashion. So again, this is not really a problem. This is just part of the process of being in a fashion industry.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of process, Miss Cris, you are a holder of a bachelor's degree in industrial management engineering. And a minor in chemical engineering. What are you doing in fashion? But alam ko, pag sinabi mo engineering, ma-process yan, di ba? From the minutest detail, to the most complex. So, your educational background doesn't necessarily impact on in the fashion industry. Whatever you take, whatever is fashion really your passion?
Actually, for the course na Industrial Management Engineering, minor in chemical, I just wanted to first push myself to the limits. I wanted to see how far I could go. I felt that maybe if I exerted 1,000% of my effort, then maybe the fruits of my labor would also be 1,000%. And then I wanted to see kung kaya ko ba or hindi ko kaya. So in everything that I do, I really push myself to the limits. I don't really look at things as hurdles. Parang I always think, if they can do it, I can do it too. But of course, if I can't do it, then at least I tell myself, at least I tried. Parang no regrets. Parang I don't live in a life of what if or baka sakali or whatever. Basta I just want to push myself to the limits and then see how far I can go. Whether the course matches my work or not, at that time, I just wanted the discipline. Parang I wanted to dedicate that 4 years to become a more disciplined person and to become a more parang focus. I needed to focus on something because I felt that if I focused or put my effort, as I said, 1,000%, then maybe something good could come out of this.
But what's the connection between that course and fashion? What were the learnings from that course and made you think of, oh, okay, I
Fashion.
wanted to go into the fashion business?
Actually, I don't have any fashion background. My parents are not in the fashion business, but at that time, local fashion was still starting, was just starting. So the malls were starting to be built pa lang. So like parang we were getting excited with the malls and parang local brands were being built. So I felt that, and then parang a lot of my allowance, if not all my allowance, went to my clothes. So I would make baon lang, and then whatever I had, I would spend on my clothes. So parang I said, maybe I'll try it. It's worth the try.
I see. But, how did you start? Based on your previous interviews, you said you started with the 6,000 peso seed capital back in the 90s. How did you do that?
Yeah. Actually, my dad gave me that and told me that this was all he could give me. So I said, it's okay. I said, I'll just try my best with whatever was given to me. So at that time, the local retail brand Sari Sari was very strong at that time, Sari Sari store. So I applied, and then it took a while because they didn't know me. I had no background whatsoever. But then I sat down there for like 2 weeks. So after a while, they decided to talk to me. And then they asked me to submit some samples. So I said, oh no, I only have 6,000 bucks. So I said, I know what. So I made miniature styles because I said if I made only 1 or 2 styles, then baka they won't like it, so they won't accept me, right? So I needed to make like 50 styles. So I had to buy small tela. But I didn't finish my money because just in case they accepted me, I didn't have money for the inventory. So I made all those small styles. And when they saw it, said, oh my God, it's so cute. But they didn't know it was because money was really, tight at that time.
So
And I
it
didn't
was a
have
matter of
much.
creativity na lang on how
Yeah,
you presented
yeah. So I
it.
made pants, t-shirts, blouses, but small
Miniatures
ones,
talaga.
miniature, yeah. Just for presentation and just so that I could, control my expenses.
I see. But when you go into the fashion business now, how much starting capital should one ideally have?
Depends how big you want to come in. You can always start. Now I see a lot of brands starting in the online, and I think they're successful at what they do. So I never looked at money, or I never looked at status in life as a hindrance for anyone to succeed. Sometimes nga, when you have little or when then the more you learn to be very cautious. But when you have so much, then you learn to be also very careless. So to everyone out there, status in life and money, I mean, you don't need a lot of it to be able to make it. You just need to pursue.
Yeah, that's very insightful, Miss Cris. But how about competition. I know that when you talk about clothing brand, when you talk about about the fashion business, talagang when you go to the mall, wow,
Yeah, they're all
from
there.
the 25 peso ukay-ukay or 10 peso ukay-ukay to the designer labels like 10,000, 50,000 a piece. How do you manage competition?
Actually, I'm not bothered by competition because I've been living with it for the past 30 years. So competitors are in front of us, beside us, on the right, on the left, at the back. So parang that's really part of the business. So we just have to pursue and pursue and pursue and really fight for sales, fight for presence, fight for market leadership if we want to be the market leader. It's all part of business.
What are the factors of that longevity? What makes you there for almost for 3 decades?
Okay. For me, I always respected the money that the people pay to us, to our brand. I never shortchange them. Whatever they pay me, I have to make sure that I give them the quality and the workmanship and the styling that they deserve. So I think with that, we try to give our best in everything that we do. I think that's also one of the keys to longevity. And of course, we try to be on our toes 24 hours of the day. Parang because of the competition and the competitors, it also kept us where we are today.
Wow, that's excellent. With today's retail landscape, how can small businesses also optimize capital efficiency? Would they consider online platforms then? Is there a balance of these things when you go into the fashion business?
I think first thing they have to know is what direction they want to take, where their strengths are. So if their strengths are online and maybe if the capital is not that big, then online should be the start. I think they should really think what they want because some they want a fashion brand that has a lifestyle look. So hindi pwede naman sa online, di ba? So I think it's really what they want because like when I was starting, I didn't really look at the others. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
How many brands do you have now?
We have 70 stores nationwide.
Okay.
So that's in almost all the malls, I
Okay,
should
with
say.
that number, one of the business models would be franchising, di ba? So, what is the business model that you have that ensures one, longevity nga, and second, being in almost all places. Tapos iba-iba pa, may mga granular lockdowns pa. So how do you manage when it comes to your value chain and logistics?
With the franchises, I mean, I think we've established our brand. So the franchisees go up to us. At first, they went up to us if we were open to franchise. At first, it took us a while because I wanted to make sure that we will be able to have three and we're able to service them in terms of shipping, in terms of fashion, in terms of marketing. Because when you franchise, it's not just sending the stuff. It's not just sending the stocks or getting their franchise fee and opening the stores. We need to support them marketing. We need to support them with new styles every week. We have new styles every week. We need to support them also in case they experience trouble or in case they need some help. We're always there to help them in any way we can because that's also our name and that's also our brand. So they're just managing it for us. But bottom line, if they fail, we fail too. So I don't want that to happen.
What's the percentage between the company-owned and franchise?
80% kami franchise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because as you said, we're an archipelago. So it's hard for us to manage stores in Mindanao or in, let's say, Cebu or in Cagayan. Parang mas magaling sila pagdating sa management.
Now, again, going back to competition, di ba? Parang like say, people would want to establish their brand immediately, di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng ganun, di ba? With your experience, talagang it has to go through a process. Can you give a walkthrough on how you have to scale up? This entails a lot of challenges along the way. What is your advice or, to entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs in this business?
I think the most difficult, to be honest, is the brand building. Regardless of you're in food, you're in fashion, you're in the skin clinic, skincare, is to build the name, is to create the name. And then you have to believe in your name, and you have to believe in your plans, you have to believe in yourself. Kasi if you yourself don't believe in your name or your plans or the process that you want to go to, because each process is unique. Maybe my process could be different from the process of another person, di ba? It depends on your work ethics, depends on your attitude, depends on what your strengths are, will determine which industry you plan to go to and how you will build your brand. So for me, I feel there's really no specifics in that. It depends on the person. But I feel that if you totally believe in your brand and totally believe in how you will, of course, you have to put the steps that you want to go through to be able to achieve a certain goal. I mean, in anything, maybe if you run the marathon, there's also certain steps you have to take to be able to at least finish the finish line. So, ganun din sa brand building. But the most difficult is to develop a brand, I would say.
Yeah, but kanina you're mentioning you want the brand that's classy, classic, a little conservative. Is this the kind of branding that you want? How do you define a brand?
Since me as a person, I'm more conservative, more classic when I dress up. Because I feel that it's easy for me to explain, easy for me to develop styles from there.
Oh, because you
Yeah, because
personify it.
ako na yun eh. Oh, so parang it would be easiest for me. Parang I didn't have to look somewhere else or try to copy the personality of another person. I felt it, I just try to focus on myself first and then develop from myself.
Is this also your strategy in choosing celebrities or brand ambassadors for your business? And how important is it? Like right now, usong-uso, Miss Cris, yung, di ba, yung influencers, di ba? They're even paid higher than the regular TV personalities. What's your take on brand personification, influencer marketing?
I feel that an endorser is important for our brand. So like now we have the very beautiful Heart Evangelista for our endorser and brand ambassador. So I feel that she represents and epitomizes the brand. She's a Filipina, but she's known now in the world. Her fashion is accepted now all over because we have a lot of buyers that are international, the Filipinos out there, and then we have some stores also that are abroad.
I was impressed by when I asked you off cam, do you have a plan to go into men's fashion? And then you said with conviction, no, you want to focus on women. Is that a kind of business strategy where you said you focus on your strengths and that's where you want to go, whether there are opportunities for men's fashion?
Me as a person, I'm really more the focus type. I'm not really so much on, okay, I'll get into this because this one is, I heard is strong. I get into that because maybe it's strong. It's really best to just stick to the ladies fashion that's timeless, classic, not too fashionable and not too fast fashion and also not trendy. And then we just stick to the everyday wear. I also don't go for the cocktail dresses or we just stick to the everyday casual wear.
I see. Pero you venture into women's needs. Example, women skin clinics, skincare.
Yeah.
What are the other women's needs that you want your brand to really focus on?
We put a clinic that was targeted at that particular market, that they get exactly the same treatment that the market leaders have, but at a very affordable price, but at a very luxurious clinics. And our clinic is run, or is all the services, the laser treatments are done by board certified dermatologists. So actually they're on the top level. So they're the ones who do all the treatments.
Since Miss Cris, you mentioned about pricing, this pricing strategy, yung sensitive ba ang Filipina consumer sa price points? Like our Filipina, our women really look at quality talaga, or they will spend, based on your research, diba, with your experience. In general, how do you describe the Filipina as a consumer?
Okay. Actually, again, just like how we do sa clothing, I don't really study too much on what they want, what they. We just stick to the prices are affordable, not too expensive, not too cheap, but the quality should be always there. And then we always try to give the best to our patients and to our clients, so that we don't shortchange them in any way. And for the skincare, that's for those who, of course, because the skin clinic has lasers, as doctors, it's a little bit pricier. So some of the people, that's not their priority for now. So what we do is, you can use the skincare products and still achieve good skin, still be able to maintain the, the skin, but not through the clinic, but through the skincare.
During the pandemic, Miss Cris, I cannot help but imagine how people, siyempre Filipinos, look at beauty and fashion habang may pandemya. So, sa halip na bibili sila ng grocery halimbawa, so they would want to look beautiful, look good. Why is that so?
Most of the people still had work during the pandemic. That's why nag-uso yung work at home. So they still earned some money. The skin clinic, I would say, was not totally hit during the pandemic, because in truth, walang gustong pangit eh. That doesn't mean that just because they're at home, they already have the license to be ugly. Of course, they want to be pretty. They still want to be. Now they're at home. Their husbands are at home. They're, they have all the time to look at themselves in the mirror. At saka pag work from home yun,
they have to attend Zoom meetings.
Yeah, so they can see their face totally. Not like before they go out, so, they're busy. So, they still wanted to look good, actually. So, the skin clinic was okay. And then for the skincare, they had more time to try new soaps, new lotions, of course, because of the online presence.
How about your brand going into the global market? Do you think there is also a market for Filipinos expanding, attending to the needs of OFWs, attending to the needs of Filipinos who are, we were also talking about fashion designers, di ba? In the beauty pageants, in the global landscape. And slowly they're appreciating how creative Filipinos are. You mentioned about Mr. Cinco earlier. And it is only now that, hey, parang wow, they have Hollywood stars are also already wearing Filipino designers. Is this the trend that you are looking at in terms of fashion?
In terms of others, let's look at the fashion designers. No, I think once you just have the solid guts to be able to try it out, like Michael Cinco, he just took a chance. And he became really successful at it. So for us, now that the country is opening, we are now starting to get or to apply for stores in the airport. By applying for stores in the airport, that will allow foreigners or foreign visitors to be able to see or to be able to at least buy our brand and bring it to whatever country they're at. So I hope the next administration will, give the local brands a chance for their presence to be in the airport.
Since you opened politics na, so and we are going to exercise, one of our key duties as a citizen. ano yung mga batas na nakikita mo or suporta ng administrasyon na dapat nila gawin, to ensure that this local fashion industry, the retail industry as well, will flourish?
I think the government should really focus on promoting local industry, not just the fashion, the food, the fashion, the, let's say, the furniture, the talent, even the interior designers. We've got really good ones. So maybe it's time for us to showcase what we have in the world, just like Thailand. I mean, Thailand has their own fashion, has their own design in terms of interiors, has their own identity. So when you see something, you say, oh, Thailand yan, or oh, Japanese yan. So I think we should concentrate in that.
Okay, Miss Cris, I think a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs are also watching right now. Maybe if you can give a few of your tips and tricks, to survive the pandemic. You're one of the longest running and one of the pioneers in the local fashion industry. How and what are your tips to small businesses and entrepreneurs to survive also the pandemic, and hopefully eventually, di ba, nalabas na lahat tayo sa pandemya? You can talk to our audience.
Okay, for me, I feel that all of us in general must live our best life. Meaning we should put our best. Let's push ourselves to the limits or how far we want to go so that we live a life of no regrets. I think there's really no formula or there's really no step-by-step procedure. If you ask people who are so much more successful than me, they'll always say they just took a chance. So I think if we believe in, or even we have a little parang idea, let's take a chance so that we live a life of no regrets. And then we'll never live what if, maybe what if, what if, what if. So I think we should just pursue.
There's no regrets this afternoon with the President and CEO of Kamiseta Group of Companies, Ms. Cris Roque. Open for Business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. May lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
I want to tie the knot na. Babe. Naintindihan mo ba, babe?
Hindi ko talaga narinig eh. Baka pwedeng pakikulat itong bata.
Itong game natin, kailangan mabutas ang plastic sa pamamagitan ng inyong mga mukha.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I am Randy Bernardino, and here are the trending business news around the world. DTI encouraging workers to return to offices. With Metro Manila back under Alert Level 1, the national government's move towards the new normal continued as it encouraged workers to begin working on-site in their workplaces once more to stimulate spending and economic activity. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said the move would allow micro, small, and medium enterprises in and around workplaces to recover financially. MSMEs are the lifeblood of the Philippine economy, making up 62.66% of the country's total employment. The vast majority of them are in the National Capital Region, according to the Department of Trade and Industry. Working from home will still be allowed, but it is optional, Lopez said. Isolation areas in workplaces will also no longer be required, while physical barriers and paper-based contact tracing will be removed, Lopez added. Under Alert Level 1, all establishments, persons, or activities are allowed to operate, work, or be undertaken at full on-site or venue capacity, provided it is consistent with minimum public health standards. Russia's central bank hikes key rate to 20%. Russia's central bank announced it was raising its key interest rate to 20% from 9.5% as the West pummeled the country with sanctions over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The central bank said it was taking the emergency measure because the Russian economy's situation had drastically changed. The bank said that this would allow it to support financial and price stability and protect citizens' savings from depreciation. The Russian ruble has plunged in value to historic lows after world powers imposed fresh, harsher sanctions on Moscow. The central bank also announced a compulsory measure for companies based in Russia that earn foreign currency through exports to sell currency amounting to 80% of their earnings. Germany wants to keep fuel motor cars but get rid of petrol. Automaking powerhouse Germany is opposed to a ban on internal combustion engines from 2035, provided they work on synthetic fuels, the country's transport minister said. The European Commission proposed last year a ban on the sale of new cars with internal combustion engines from the middle of next decade, but the debate is far from over. Synthetic fuels, which could be used by current cars with little or no modification, might be able to considerably lower emissions depending on how they are produced. The meeting of transport ministers looked at innovation to decarbonize road transport, among other issues. At the latest UN climate meeting last year, more than 24 countries and car companies pledged to work on ensuring that by 2040, only zero-emission vehicles are sold. Germany, in particular, criticized the fact that synthetic fuels were left out. UK payrolls jump, but soaring inflation hits wages. UK payrolls jumped in January as Omicron fears receded, but workers' wage rises are failing to keep pace with soaring inflation. The number of UK workers on payrolls rose 108,000 to a record high 29.5 million, the Office for National Statistics said in a statement. The UK's unemployment rate stood at 4.1% in the 3 months to the end of December, unchanged from the quarter to the end of November, the ONS added. Average pay excluding bonuses grew 3.7% in the quarter to the end of December, lagging near 30-year high UK inflation at 5.4%. The Bank of England has said that Britain's annual inflation rate will peak at 7.25% in April, as energy prices in particular rocket. Now on to our tech trends, where we find out the latest buzz in technology. Today we learn, what is Web 3? Web 3 represents the next iteration or phase of the evolution of the web or internet. It potentially could be as disruptive and represent as big a paradigm shift as Web 2. Web 3 is built upon the core concepts of decentralization, openness, and greater user utility. It is a trustless, permissionless, and decentralized internet that leverages blockchain technology. Web 3's defining feature is ownership. Whereas the first iteration of the commercial internet, Web 1, was read-only for most users, And Web 2 allowed users to both read and write on centralized platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Web 3 gives users full ownership of their content, data, and assets via blockchains. It empowers users to read, write, and own. Where a third party like Facebook owns your identity and data in Web 2, your identity in Web 3 can move fluidly between platforms without your data being captured and monetized by service providers. While Web 2 apps are centrally controlled, tokens in Web 3 grant users the right to help govern the services they use, representing a form of ownership in the platforms themselves. Now on to our job hunting tip. Every week, we will provide you with tips for first-time job seekers, for those wanting to advance in their careers, or even those wanting to start fresh and change professions. Today's tip: expand your skills. If you are just entering the workforce or starting a new career, you might need more training or experience to get a job. Consider getting an internship or volunteering with an organization in your desired industry while applying for jobs. Use these opportunities to expand your network of contacts or advance to a full-time position. You might also take online courses or attend workshops to build certain skills or learn technologies and processes relevant to your industry. Update your resume as you gain more experience or accomplishments. Now on to our millennial feature with Jasmine Agustin.
Competitive advantages can be found practically in any place. After all, a competitive advantage is something you have that your competitors do not. Look for anything that your competitors cannot easily copy or imitate to gain a long-term competitive advantage. The majority of these are attained through knowledge and information. Okay, millennials, do you have a skill or set of skills that the majority of people lack? It is now up to you to find your competitive edge. First and foremost, technologies. Technologies that are utilized to manage good relationships or strengthen internal relationships can all be regarded as competitive advantages. You cannot just invent a competitive advantage out of thin air, as tempting as it may be. What you can do in terms of operations and business activities is determined by your resources. Second, analyze your opportunities for improving or developing your competitive edge. The unique resources you have or can quickly obtain can provide you a significant competitive advantage. Determine your area of expertise and how it can help you be the perfect fit. Figure out how to stand out from the crowd, which can obviously be done by providing people with a competitive advantage. Finally, to maintain your business edge, use your competitive advantage. You won't be able to use your competitive edge if you don't define it. Make sure you describe your competitive advantage so you can maintain your competitive advantage as your company grows. You must first comprehend your competition and clients in order to determine your competitive edge. This is usually accomplished by assessing your rivals' strengths and shortcomings and determining where you can fill in the gaps or step up and improve. When you excel at what you do, you acquire a competitive advantage over those who take the longer, slower route. I am Jasmine Agustin for Open for Business.
Oh, but love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Hey, I'm Renee Dominique at abangan niyo po ako sa Letters and Music this coming Saturday, March 5, kasama ang aking mga likhang awit at aking mga inspirasyon. Dito lamang sa Net25. See ya!
The dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
Abangan ang mga istorya ng pagbangon sa Season 2 ng Lingap Stories tuwing Linggo, alas 5 ng hapon sa Net25.
nagbibigay ng ngiti at saya sa bawat kada all over the world. Tara na't ma-inspire at ma-amaze sa kwento ng mga bawat kada na nagwagi sa anumang hamon at pagsubok ng buhay. Itago na mga remote control at tumambay lang dito sa paborito niyong barkada sa umaga, ang Kada Umaga! Dahil kayo ang bida dito.
Sino sa mga bagong bayani ang mananalo sa Tara Game? Agad-agad at may chance mag-uwi ng 100,000 piso? Panoorin ang exciting na tapatan ng mga OFW Tara Gamers. Kayo na mo ipapasa ang tanong na yan.
Christian.
Bakit kay Christian?
Sige, bibigyan na kita ng chance para makausad ka na sa next one. Last time gagad.
Bakit kinomi mo binasa yan?
Hindi niya yan alam. Kasi hindi kami alam eh. Nangula lang talaga ako. Hindi ko alam.
Ngayong linggo, alas 7 ng gabi sa Net 25.
Action-packed! Ganito mailalarawan ang Pilipinas sa huling 6 na taon. Liban kasi sa mga malalakas na bagyo at paglindol na tila nagiging karaniwan na, bumangon din ang mga bago at kakaibang problema. Gaya na nga lamang nitong pandemya na nakaapekto sa kabuhayan ng mga Pilipino, mahirap man o mayaman. Nevertheless, Filipinos have remained resilient through challenges. Many of them have even dedicated their own time and resources to helping their fellow countrymen. Unti-unti nakikita nating sama-samang bumabangon ang mga Pinoy sa kabila ng mga hamon. In today's episode, aalamin natin ang economic highlights ng bansa sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Sa unang taon ni Pangulong Duterte, kinaharap ng kanyang administrasyon ang mga isyong pampolitikal kaugnay ng inilunsad nitong war on drugs. Ending the siege of Marawi and dealing with the aftermath also fell on its shoulders. This included giving temporary shelter to displaced residents and restoring the city left in ruins. Maaalala ring 2017 nang lagdaan ni Pangulong Duterte ang Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act. Nagbigay daan ito upang maging libre ang tuition sa state universities at colleges sa bansa. Sa kaparehong taon, inilahad ng administrasyon ang socio-economic strategy nito na mas kilala sa tawag na Dutertenomics. The 10-point agenda aimed to help the Philippines become a high middle-income economy by 2022. One of the salient features of Dutertenomics is the Build, Build, Build program, which supports the administration's goal of accelerating infrastructure spending, reducing unemployment, and encouraging economic growth. As of July 2021, the Department of Public Works and Highways has completed the construction, widening, and rehabilitation of 29,264 kilometers of roads. These include the NLEX Harbor Link Segment 10, the Mandaue Causeway Road in Cebu, and the Taytay El Nido Road in Palawan. 5,950 na tulay naman ang nakumpleto na ng DPWH. 738 sa mga ito ang bagong tayo. Inaasahang makatutulong ang mga pagawaing ito upang mapadali ang pagninegosyo at mapatatag ang turismo lalo na sa kanayunan. Isa pang mahalagang bahagi ng Dutertenomics ang pagsusulong ng mga reforma sa buwis at mas mainam na koleksyon nito. On January 2018, the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law, o TRAIN Law, took effect. The implementation of this law has led to lower personal income tax and higher consumption tax on non-essential goods. Ilan sa mga produktong pinatawan o tinaasan ng excise tax ang sweetened beverages, tobacco at non-essential cosmetic procedures. Ang mga nakokolekta ng TRAIN ay ginagamit na pondo sa VAT-exempt na maintenance medicines at sa pagpapatayo ng mga ospital, silid-aralan at iba pang proyekto sa ilalim ng Build, Build, Build program. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, President Duterte signed into law the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises o CREATE Act. According to the Department of Finance, the primary beneficiaries of CREATE are the MSMEs, being granted the largest ever corporate income tax rate reduction in the country. Liban pa rito, nagbigay din ng suportang pampinansyal ang Department of Social Welfare and Development sa mga pinakaapektado ng pandemya. Ito'y matapos lagdaan ni Pangulong Duterte ang Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Kabilang sa mga nakatanggap ng cash aid ang senior citizens, differently abled, solo parents, mga nagdadalang tao, IPS, magsasaka, mangingisda, distressed OFWs, at mga kabilang sa informal economy. Lubhamang umurong ang ekonomiya ng bansa noong 2020, dulot na rin ng sunod-sunod na hard lockdowns. Nakapagtaya ito agad ng 5.6 na GDP ng sumunod na taon. At sa patuloy na pagkaunti ng mga nahahawa sa COVID-19 at pag-arangkada naman ng pangangampanya para sa eleksyon, inaasahang mas bibilis ang pagbangon ng ekonomiya ngayong taon. Next week, we'll talk about campaign promises. Are these promises really destined to be broken? Do they still matter? We'll see in our next episode here on Open for Business. Open for Business is back, and our term of the week is fast fashion. Fast fashion describes clothing designs that move quickly from the catwalk to stores to take advantage of trends. The collections are often based on styles presented at Fashion Week runway shows or worn by celebrities. Fast fashion allows mainstream consumers to purchase the hot new look or the next big thing at an affordable price. Every iconic fashion brand has an origin story. A clothing line in department stores today may have started out as a simple idea in a fledgling designer's living room. While launching one's own fashion brand may seem daunting, the boom in e-commerce and online marketing has helped to alleviate those fears. Ngayon, nabibigyan na rin ng tsansa na magpakitang gilas sa pandaigdigang merkado, maging ang up-and-coming fashion companies sa bansa. Our quote of the week is from international fashion designer Vera Wang. She said, "Success isn't about the end result, it's about what you learn along the way." Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Thank you to our guest, Ms. Cris Roque. Samahan niyo kaming muli sa Open for Business sa susunod na linggo. Learn more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines. Keeping you informed and open for business. Be ahead of the curve. From vision to action. Panoorin din ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos. We live in interesting times.
to Mobile Legends!
Oh, but love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me. Somewhere